Imagine the scene. You've picked some flowers from your garden. You've got a jug of fresh water, but the cut and plonk just isn't cutting it. Is there an easy way to arrange flowers to make them look absolutely amazing? Well, if you want to know the answer to that, carry on and watch to the end of the video. I've got 2 ideas to share with you. And if you love all things flower arranging, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the red button marked subscribe, and all that means is next time you open the YouTube app on your phone, your laptop or your computer, one of my videos will be waiting for you. Shall we get a little bit technical? What mechanics are you going to use to help support your flowers? In previous years, you might have gone for flower foam, but now we understand that's a single-use plastic and it's not very good for the environment. So you've got an option of going old school with a glass flower block, or perhaps even a metal pin holder. Have you been collecting these glass flower frogs too? But do you know how to use them to create beautiful flower arrangements? Hello there, I'm Julie from Julie Davis Flower Workshops and Flower Start, the online flower arranging classes. Now I made this flower arrangement using some flowers that I have grown in my garden, and the mechanic, or what's holding my flowers in place, is a glass flower block. Now on the subject of flower blocks, I have got a video that talks all about them, and I'll make sure I leave a link to that in the description underneath this video. Now a question for you before you start your arrangement. Do you want your mechanics to show? That means, and by mechanics I mean your glass flower block, or do you want them to be hidden? I've decided for this arrangement that I don't mind my mechanics showing, so I'm going to use my flower block in this clear container. It looks like glass, but actually it's plastic. I've got a growing collection of glass flower blocks. Here's just 3 of them, and I've still got the price on that. It cost me 50p from the local charity shop. I've got some larger ones too, like this domed flower block. And as you can see, it's a good use by keeping my little bottle brushes in it, and that sits on my kitchen windowsill. So for today, I'm going to put my bottle brushes somewhere else. So as you can see my glass flower block inside my container, and that doesn't bother me. I always think it looks quite interesting when you've got something submerged in your vase. Let me know in the comments whether you fancy doing that, keeping all your mechanics on display, or whether you would rather tuck your glass flower block inside a container you can't see through, whether that's a ceramic pot or perhaps something like this with a coloured glass. As with all flower arrangements, no matter what mechanics you use, whether it's a pin holder or flower foam, or whether you just want to arrange your flowers casually in a container without supporting them, you need to make sure that everything is scrupulously clean in order that you don't inadvertently shorten the life of your flowers. And then just add water. It almost looks like I've got frog spawn in my vase, and the water distorts the look of the flower frog and gives something really interesting to look at. I'm going to be revamping my vase arrangement. I don't have that many flowers growing in my garden, so these are rather precious, and I'll start off cutting the flowers and putting them in some of those holes. But you don't need to put every single flower into every single one of the holes. Once you've got about 5 or 6 stems in, just put your flowers in where you think they're going to sit best, what gives you the most satisfaction. Starting with my dahlia first, recut the stem, hold it gently, and rest it into the vase. And repeat. Recut the stems into the vase. I think I might need to lift these out of the container. going to put this dahlia right in the middle because it's got a little bit of natural greenery with it, and that will just help to fill out the vase a little bit. And then you just do what suits. Find a hole and put a flower in it. You just need to be a little bit gentle with your stems in order that you don't accidentally knock the flower heads off. That's a zinnia there. Some more cosmos. Got some stems here that just got buds on them, and I'm hoping that the warmth of my living room, that they'll burst into flower. I might recut those stem ends all in one go, right the way across. Then find a gap and add a flower. You can see there, as I've put the flowers in, they're all pretty much standing upright. And to get a more natural looking arrangement, you might want to have a little more of an arch and a flow. So this next sort of flowers, I'm going to put in where I want them to sit and not be bound by where the holes are. So it's going to slide the stems in. And although the stems are in water, they are not actually in the holes of the flower frog. They're going to be supported by the other flower stems. And here's my finished arrangement, a casual arrangement using a very small number of flowers which I've picked from my garden. And you can see the glass flower block inside the vase, which creates a really interesting focal point, a talking point in the bottom of your vase. And as for the flowers, I've grown them all myself. Now, I'm not a really confident gardener. In fact, just in the last 3 months, I've started my own cutting patch from those meagre beginnings. You can see that I've managed to cut about 10 or 15 stems of flower, but really been able to showcase it. And if you want to follow along with my gardening adventures, check out the playlist underneath this video, which I've called Gardening from Scratch. So I've got a revamped arrangement here, which means I've got a jug here that needs to be cleaned out, ready for next time. And here's the flower frog that was tucked inside, a flatter shaped one, but it's still got a slight dome to it. If you're going to use a metal pin holder, first you need to source one. I found this at a charity shop, and quite often you'll come across them at vintage fairs or car boot sales, or alternatively you could buy yourself one brand new, and I'll leave a link to some in the description underneath the video. It's got a heavy lead base and brass pins so it won't rust in water. You then need a little watertight container to put it in, and if you're not using too many flowers, you'll find the weight of the pin holder will hold it in position. And if not, you can always put a little bit of museum wax at the bottom, and again I'll leave a link to that in the notes underneath the video. So once your mechanics are sorted, just add water. A pin holder is a great arrangement to make when you hardly have any flowers at all. I'm going to take one of my dahlias first and cut it straight across at the bottom. Now that is something different than I've previously advised you. If you're arranging your flowers in water or in flower foam, you will have been taught to cut your stems at an angle, which helps the uptake of water. But when you're using a flower frog, you need to have the full width of the stem to impale your flower securely onto the pins. Then choose your next flower, cut it a little bit longer, and in that way you'll showcase each individual bloom that you've picked from your garden. And if you've got any skinny stems which you can't impale onto your pins, bundle them together with an elastic band and put them in position as if they're one chunkier stem, and then keep going until it looks fabulous or you run out of flowers. As you can see, a pin holder is perfect for showcasing a limited number of flowers, which is perfect if you've been to the supermarket and bought a bunch with one of everything in it, or perhaps like me, you've only got a limited number of flowers to cut from your garden. I do hope you found that video helpful if you've been buying glass flower blocks too. It's so lovely to be able to create an arrangement without using that single-use plastic flower foam. And if you'd like more flower arranging hints and tips and behind the scenes going on, don't forget to check out my free Facebook group, Flower Start World, and why not join my YouTube Flower Club? I'll leave a link to that in the description underneath the video. That's all from me for now, and I'll see you again next time.